Welcome to Grandma's Tales. Today we have a beautiful bedtime story for toddlers and young children about a little duck who wanted to find the perfect, quiet place to rest. Have you ever wondered where the clouds go when they touch the tops of the trees? Tonight we will follow a little duck on her peaceful journey, leading us to a quiet place where sleep comes easily. Let us begin our story. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful farm near a blue lake, surrounded by soft green hills and tall, quiet trees. On this farm lived a little duck named Jemima Puddle-Duck. Jemima was a lovely duck with clean white feathers, a bright yellow beak, and a very kind heart. She loved to waddle around the farmyard, greeting the sheep, the cows, and the little yellow chicks. But Jemima had one big wish that made her feel a little sad every spring. She wanted to hatch her very own eggs and see her own little fluffy ducklings grow up. However, the farmer's wife was always very busy. Every time Jemima laid a beautiful, smooth egg in the farmyard, the farmer's wife would come and take it away to put it in a safe basket. The farmer's wife thought that Jemima was not patient enough to sit on her eggs for many weeks. Jemima felt very sad about this. She did not want her eggs taken away. She wanted to care for them herself, to keep them warm under her soft feathers, and to hear the tiny peep, peep of her babies. So Jemima decided to make a secret plan. She decided that she would find a hiding place far away from the farmyard where nobody could find her. First, she tried to hide her eggs inside the old hay barn. She found a dark, cozy corner behind some sweet-smelling straw. But the farm boy found them when he was clearing the hay. Then she tried to hide them near the giant wooden wheel of the Watermill. But the miller found them too. Jemima knew she had to leave the farmyard completely to find a quiet spot in the wild woods. One lovely quiet afternoon in spring, Jemima rose up early from the pond. The weather was warm, and a gentle breeze was blowing through the green grass. To make herself look very proper for a journey, Jemima put on her favourite clothes. She put on a beautiful shawl with a pattern of tiny blue flowers, and she tied a lovely blue bonnet under her yellow beak. She waddled down the dusty farm path, looking left and right to make sure nobody was watching her. When she reached the edge of the farm, near the big wooden gate, Jemima took a running start. She flapped her white wings up and down, up and down. She was not used to flying very far, but the wind was kind and lifted her gently into the air. She flew higher than the barn, higher than the tall oak trees, and soon she was gliding beautifully across the bright blue sky. She looked down and saw the fields looking like a green carpet, and the farm animals looking as small as little toys. Jemima enjoyed the flight. The air felt cool and soft against her feathers. She flew over the rolling hills and towards a deep, quiet forest. The forest looked peaceful, filled with tall pine trees that rustled gently in the wind. Jemima decided that the woods would be the perfect place to build her secret nest. She began to fly downward, circling lower and lower, until she landed with a soft thump in a beautiful, sunny clearing inside the forest. The clearing was filled with soft green moss and pretty wild flowers. In the middle of the clearing, sitting on a dry tree stump, was a very handsome gentleman. He had long, sandy-coloured whiskers, a beautiful red coat, and a very long, bushy tail. He was reading a newspaper and enjoying the warm sunshine. When Jemima landed, the gentleman looked up. He did not look angry. Instead, he smiled very politely and tilted his head. "Good afternoon, little duck," the gentleman said in a very kind, soft voice. "Are you lost? Or are you looking for something in my quiet woods?" Jemima thought he was the politest gentleman she had ever met. She noticed his beautiful bushy tail, which he was using as a cushion on the tree stump, but she did not think anything of it. She bowed her head politely, adjusting her blue bonnet, and decided to tell him the truth. "Good afternoon, sir," Jemima said, clucking softly. "I am not lost. I am looking for a quiet, safe place where I can lay my eggs and make a nest without anyone taking them away. Every time I lay them at the farm, they are taken. I just want to be a mother." The gentleman with the sandy whiskers put down his newspaper and looked very interested. He placed his chin on his paw and smiled warmly at Jemima. "Oh, my dear lady, that is a very sad story indeed," the gentleman said smoothly. "People on farms can be so unkind. You have found the perfect place. This forest is very quiet, and nobody ever comes here. In fact, I have a wonderful dry little shed filled with soft feathers right behind my house. You can make your nest there, and nobody will ever disturb you for as long as you like." Jemima's heart filled with joy. "Oh, thank you, sir," she cried happily. "That sounds wonderful." The gentleman stood up, dusted his red coat, and led Jemima through the tall trees to his house. His house was built of dry branches and soft green turf. Behind it was a small wooden shed. When the gentleman opened the door, Jemima saw that the floor was covered in the softest, cleanest feathers she had ever seen. It was warm, dry, and very cosy. Jemima was delighted. She went inside the shed and began to make a beautiful round nest in the feathers. The gentleman sat outside on his stump, watching her with a kind smile. When Jemima came out, she thanked him again. "You are welcome to stay here every day," the gentleman said politely. "I will keep your nest safe." Jemima flew back to the farm that evening, feeling very happy and proud of her secret. For the next week, Jemima flew to the forest every single afternoon. She laid a beautiful, smooth, white egg in the nest each day. The gentleman with the sandy whiskers was always there to greet her. He was always incredibly polite, opening the door of the shed for her and asking about her day. He told her that he loved ducks and wished he could protect all the nests in the world. Jemima thought he was the best friend a duck could ever have. Soon Jemima had laid 9 beautiful eggs in the soft nest. The eggs were warm and safe under the feathers. Jemima told the gentleman that the next day she would begin to sit on the eggs to keep them warm until they hatched. She explained that she would have to stay in the shed for many days. The gentleman smiled, but his eyes looked very bright. He rubbed his paws together and spoke in a very gentle voice. "That is wonderful news, dear Jemima," the gentleman said. "Before you begin your long stay in the shed, we should have a nice dinner party to celebrate. Just you and me. I will provide the main part of the dinner, but I want you to bring some herbs from the farmyard garden. Could you please bring some sweet sage, some green mint, and some nice onions? We will make a wonderful meal together tomorrow." Jemima, who was a very innocent and simple duck, thought this was a lovely idea. She did not know why he wanted onions and sage, but she wanted to please her polite friend. She flew back to the farmyard and walked into the kitchen garden. She began to pick the green mint leaves and the sweet sage with her yellow beak. She also found some small onions growing in the soil and pulled them out carefully. While Jemima was collecting the herbs, a wise old collie dog named Kep walked into the garden. Kep had a beautiful black and white coat, long, soft ears, and very kind, clever eyes. He was the guardian of the farm, and he loved all the animals. Kep had been watching Jemima for several days. He noticed that she disappeared every afternoon, and he noticed that she always returned with feathers on her shawl and a mysterious smile on her face. Kep walked over to Jemima and wagged his tail slowly. "Bark, bark, good evening, Jemima," Kep said softly so as not to scare her. "What are you doing with all those herbs and onions? The farmer's wife usually picks those, not you." Jemima looked at Kep. She was so happy and excited about her nest that she forgot it was supposed to be a secret. She wanted to share her happiness with the kind dog. "Oh, Kep," Jemima whispered, looking around. "I have a wonderful secret. I have found a beautiful, quiet place in the forest. There is a wonderful, polite gentleman with sandy whiskers who let me build my nest in his shed. I have 9 beautiful eggs there. Tomorrow, I am going to sit on them. But first, we are having a dinner party, and he asked me to bring these onions and herbs." Kep's ears went up instantly. He was a very wise dog, and he knew all about the animals in the forest. He knew that a gentleman with sandy whiskers, a red coat, and a long, bushy tail was not a friend to ducks. He knew it was a sly fox. Kep did not want to frighten Jemima, so he kept his voice very calm and gentle. "I see, Jemima," Kep said. That sounds like a very interesting gentleman. Tell me, where exactly is this beautiful shed? Jemima told Kep exactly how to find the clearing and the little house made of branches. Kep nodded his head wisely. Thank you, Jemima. Go along now and get ready for your big day tomorrow. Jemima thanked Kep and went to the barn to sleep, feeling happy that her eggs would soon hatch. But Kep did not go to sleep. He walked quietly to the back of the stable, where two young, strong Foxhound puppies were resting. Kep woke up the two puppies. They were big, friendly dogs with strong legs and loud voices. Kep explained the situation to them in a low whisper. Jemima is in danger, Kep said. A sly fox in the woods has tricked her. We must go to the forest tomorrow morning and save Jemima and her eggs before it is too late. The puppies wagged their tails and nodded. They were ready to help. The next morning, Jemima woke up early. She picked up the bundle of onions, sage, and mint and tied it securely into her shawl. She took off into the air, flying towards the forest. The sun was rising, painting the sky in beautiful colours of gold and pink. Jemima felt so proud. She landed in the clearing and walked straight to the little wooden shed, ready to start sitting on her 9 beautiful eggs. The gentleman with the sandy whiskers was already waiting outside. When he saw Jemima with the herbs, his eyes sparkled. Ah, the onions and the herbs, he said smoothly. Perfect. Please, my dear Jemima, go straight into the shed and look after your eggs. Do not come out until I call you. I will prepare everything outside. Jemima nodded and went inside the shed. She sat down gently on her 9 warm eggs, feeling very cosy. But while Jemima was sitting in the dark shed, she heard a sudden noise outside. It was not the sound of a polite gentleman cooking. It was the sound of fast, heavy footsteps running through the dry leaves. Then she heard a loud, brave bark. Bark! Bark! Echoed through the quiet forest. It was Kep and the 2 strong Foxhound puppies. They had arrived just in time. The sly fox was completely surprised. He saw Kep and the big puppies rushing into the clearing. The fox knew he could not trick these wise dogs. He dropped his newspaper, turned around, and ran as fast as his legs could carry him. He ran through the trees, over the hills, and deep into the faraway mountains. He was so frightened that he never, ever came back to that forest again. Inside the shed, Jemima was trembling a little bit. She did not understand what was happening. Suddenly, the door opened, and the kind, warm face of Kep looked inside. His eyes were soft and friendly. It is safe now, Jemima, Kep said gently. The gentleman with the whiskers was a fox, and he was not being a true friend. But we are here to protect you. Jemima looked at Kep, and then she looked at her 9 beautiful eggs. She realized that Kep was right. True friends do not ask for onions and herbs to make a secret dinner. True friends look out for your safety. "Oh, Kep," Jemima said softly, a little tear in her eye. "Thank you for saving me. But what will happen to my beautiful eggs now? I cannot leave them here in the dark woods." Kep smiled and wagged his tail. "Do not worry, Jemima. Look outside." Jemima looked out of the door and saw the 2 young puppies. They had found a soft woven basket in the clearing. Together, Kep and the puppies gently placed the soft feathers and the 9 eggs into the basket. They carried it very carefully, walking slowly through the peaceful forest, while Jemima waddled happily by their side, wearing her blue bonnet. They walked all the way back to the beautiful farm. When the farmer's wife saw Jemima returning with Kep and the eggs, she understood everything. She felt sorry that Jemima had been so lonely and worried. The farmer's wife immediately built a beautiful, safe little wooden house right in the middle of the kitchen garden, surrounded by soft green grass and away from the pond's mud. The farmer's wife told Jemima that this house was hers forever, and that nobody would ever take her eggs away again. Jemima was so happy. She sat on her 9 beautiful eggs every single day and every single night, keeping them warm under her soft white feathers. Kep and the puppies often came by to visit, sitting by the garden gate to make sure she was safe and comfortable. A few weeks later, on a very warm and sunny morning, Jemima heard a beautiful sound. Crack, crack, crack went the smooth white shells. Jemima lifted her wings and out popped 1, 2, 3, 9 beautiful, golden, fluffy little ducklings. They all looked up at Jemima with bright little eyes and said, "Peep, peep." Jemima was the proudest and happiest mother duck in the whole world. She walked with her little ducklings down to the clear pond, showing them how to swim in the gentle water under the warm golden sun. Jemima had learned that true safety and wisdom come from listening to real friends who care for us. And now the little ducklings were safe, the farm was quiet, and the sun was setting slowly behind the hills. The stars are beginning to shine in the deep blue sky, and the farm is going to sleep. The little ducklings are tucking their heads under their wings, safe and warm. It is time for us to rest too. Close your eyes. Breathe in the sweet, quiet night air and let yourself drift into a beautiful, peaceful dream. The end. For more audiobooks for preschoolers or 3-year-olds, stay on our channel, and sweet dreams.